Welcome back to WNHH-FM's Dateline, New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make the Elm City tick. Getting the mic set up here. Seth Poole is making a look New Haven tick. Make New Haven tick. As our next mayor.
All righty.
He has thrown his hat into the proverbial ring as an unaffiliated candidate for mayor, and he's here in the WNHH studio to talk all about it. Thanks for coming in, Seth.
Thanks for inviting me, Paul. I appreciate it.
It's really, really nice to meet you. I've been reading your stuff over the years, watching what you do. We never had a sit down before.
No, we haven't.
And now you're running for mayor.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy. Just serving the young people of our community and starting a family of my own finally. And it's it's due time that we prepare the plate, or the proverbial plate, for our young people to eat off of. It's 21st century time, Paul.
Before I ask you about why you're running, who you are you related to Jerry and Joyce Poole?
We have not found the familiar connection.
Because you're from that part of town, and they are civic royalty.
Yes, they are.
They've
Yes,
been
they
making
are.
West River work. Yeah.
Let's say I've enjoyed some of the trappings of sharing a last name with.
It's Poole. We'll let him in. Yeah,
exactly. I have a funny story about that. An elected official in Hartford actually approached me and said, "Well, your parents are supporting me," and made the assumption. Needless to say, they didn't get my vote.
So, Seth Poole, why are you running for mayor, and why are you running as an unaffiliated candidate rather than as a Democrat in a city where Democrat is the official religion?
Well, I am not one to subscribe to religions and either or doctrine unless it is proven to serve the purposes of myself and the greater good. And I was only a Democrat during the Obama administration. Prior to that, I was an unaffiliated voter. I became a Democrat because I believed in the Obamas and their vision, and it was short-lived.
Well, some days I think we should just decide he's still the president.
Yeah.
Sometimes decide
I
he's still
agree.
president.
I agree.
You can believe in alternate reality.
My daughter, she's gonna be 3 on Sunday. She only knows the Obamas.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm basically throwing my hat in the ring now because of her, because of my grandmother's legacy, because of my own level of commitment to the community, and seeing a great deal of our citizens marginalized and ultimately kicked out of the city, priced out of the city. And we're watching families torn apart through economics. It's become more of a class issue than anything else. And there are opportunities throughout the city to access a means to provide for one's family and to move into like entrepreneurial lanes to provide jobs.
Okay, so you want to talk about jobs, entrepreneur. I want to first talk about housing, because you've made that an emphasis from the beginning.
Definitely.
You own a home on Sherman.
Yes.
You rent out a home that you own on Edgewood. You have served on housing issues.
Flipped.
What?
It's like so I rent the house on Sherman. And live in the house on Edgewood.
Okay, and you also have served on the board of the Livable City Initiative. So you've you've reviewed and helped make decisions about what we do with property for people to live in New Haven. So how did this? You live near 66 Norton Street, where people had to be within an hour leave their homes because of structural problems.
Yes.
Last weekend we had the fire at 2 weeks ago, 150 West Street, where it turns out there was an illegal rooming house that people hadn't known about. It didn't have a license to operate. How does that all fit into your campaign, and what would you do different to improve housing and affordable housing?
I believe Serena and the team at LCI are moving the organization into the right direction. Over the past 4 years, we've seen a lot of changes that have, made New Haven more accessible and gotten a lot of properties off of the rolls and, off of the city's out of the city's possession and onto the rolls.
So in other words, you like the idea that they like selling affordable housing, like they just did it at Judith Terrace.
Yes.
They've done it in the Hill, where LCI gets a problem property They fix it up themselves or get someone to fix it up, and then they sell it to a working class homeowner.
Yes, and that seems like it's opponents may say that that's not the direction that the city should be moving in. The problem is the banks are in control of the bulk of the properties that are blighted in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And myself and my family benefited from involvement from neighbors to intervene with the banks. And folks don't understand that this is a right that they have to go to the banks that are in ownership of blighted properties nearby their own properties and advocate on behalf of themselves as homeowners.
Now, we know that a lot of times, and Anthony Bernard Ellison Jr. has 3 fists raised. Yes, Seth. Thanks for listening, Mr.
Yeah, that's
Ellison.
my fellow cross governor.
Okay.
How you doing, sir?
So one of the problems with the banks is often they give out bad loans to get the fees, and then they sell it to somebody else. It's hard to track down who they are. And then when blighted property goes for sale, sometimes they don't sell it because they don't want to have to pay fees, and they sit there for a long time and become ghost houses or zombie houses, or they often sell to irresponsible landlords who own a lot of property and have the inside track or cash to buy the houses.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fight back to get it in the right hands, and how have you done that with your neighbors?
Well, I've definitely worked with a tenant. I have a tenant my tenant for 10 years, but I bought the home from my brother. So total 13 and a half, 14 years. The eldest child, I led him in the direction to purchase his first property, and just pointing people in the direction of resources in our community, like the New Haven, what is it called, Neighborhood Housing Association. It's a very
NHS, New Haven Housing
NHS
Services.
is right there within walking distance of most people's regular travels throughout the city.
They help people buy houses,
Yeah,
and keep them in good condition,
and help them get their credit together and give you all the prep and everything.
So what would you do different? You talked about the banks, Seth. Well,
Yeah.
how would you do as mayor? How would you improve the way banks are responding to the neighborhood and getting property in the right hands?
I believe we should sit down. The city should have sit downs with the banks. The one thing that I've realized as a person who's interested in real estate in the city is not very often does a sign go up in front of a property in New Haven. That's a huge problem because they're not even afforded access to purchase homes at all, because it's technically is never on the market.
Right.
And we have to intervene in that alone, because the marketing of homes is intentionally done to bring cash to banks as opposed to invest in communities. And I would, as mayor, definitely go to the banks directly and say, at minimum, you have to list these properties for sale to owner occupants for at least the first 30 days of the listing. That at minimum, because the 203K loans are out there, and you could actually buy a blighted property and receive one mortgage to purchase that property. And people are not aware of the resources that are available, and
it's also public awareness. Of loan
down
programs.
payment assistance, things of that nature. And I think that transparency.
How about Yale? It hasn't done a major project in New Haven for 10 years. What about Yale expanding its home ownership program for city cops?
Well,
or teachers?
I believe that's been done. And
Yale New Haven Hospital has it.
Well,
Yale
not necessarily
employees.
Yale, but
Yeah.
I believe it was a city program in the past, and initiatives have been supported to bring police and basically civil servants to purchase homes locally. I think that should be supported again, and I would extend it another level to Public Works and Parks Department folks.
Sam Cordero Jr. Oops, I just lost the. We have some comments people aren't in, but when it comes back on my screen, I'll read them on the air. They're going to Sam Cordero Jr. says, "Good man, vote for Seth." Cameron Green says, "Seth for mayor." We're talking to Seth Poole, who's running an unaffiliated campaign for mayor, and I want to get a little bit more biography. You grew up here. You went to Cross.
Yes, sir.
You went to Trinity.
Yes, sir.
You studied international relations.
Yeah, that was the best.
And you specialized in China.
Yes, I had an affinity for Chinese language and culture since I was a young person, probably around the age of 6.
Interesting.
Um,
And we're in a trade war now with China. What do you think
Look,
about that?
I
How's that
I
affect New
predicted the
Haven?
entire situation,
Mm-hmm.
and I was told that I was loopy and strange because all of the economic power was with Japan. I actually was laughed out of my Yale interview like that.
So now I want you to laugh at me because I'm going to try to say something in Mandarin, and I don't know how to speak Mandarin, but you do.
Oh, okay, I'll try.
I got it off Google, so I don't really know how to pronounce it right.
Uh-oh.
But I want you to tell me what I'm saying and then answer the question.
You're going to stump the Schwab.
You're not going to stump because I might be pronouncing it so badly that you're definitely not wrong if you don't know what I'm saying. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Shi Zhang Yingei Ku Zhanggugo Ma.
Whoa. Yeah, your pronunciation's a little
Is
rough.
ridiculous. I don't know how to
It
pronounce
is.
Mandarin.
I'm like,
Oh, you know
sit
what?
here, write it down.
I will give you the characters. Ready?
Oh no, don't give me the characters.
Yeah.
Characters are the worst. That's the hardest part of Chinese.
Okay.
It's
Erica
like,
Holland
I studied for 2
so
years.
excited for you. You are great for New Haven.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
love
speak Mandarin to your kids, right?
Well, I it's hi and bye and where's the bathroom and how
Okay.
much does it cost Chinese?
Well,
took
here's
2
the
years.
question I had found how to say in Mandarin, only I don't know how to pronounce it. Ready?
Okay.
Should the mayor have gone to China?
Yes. Mayors should have been going to China for the last 3 decades.
And why is that?
Because cities should not be run like nonprofit organizations.
Mhm.
Cities should be run like corporations and dealing with people and eliminating middlemen, particularly if you are.
Well, she went there to look
Yeah.
and she brought one company back.
Yeah.
They're big investors in America. Sometimes people own a lot of the real estate in cities, and factories are Chinese.
Yes, they do.
So she said the reason to go there was to try to lure some business here directly and pick up how some other communities do, other societies function. She got a lot of blowback from people saying, well, it cost $50,000.
Mhm.
So you're saying it was unfair criticism?
$50,000. Wow.
Well, that was because, airfare, most people paid their own way. But there were 4 people from the city. She had the president of the board of Alders, Taisha Walker. She had a mayor and a mayoral economic aide.
I was there for 5 weeks. Didn't cost $50,000.
Okay.
It's cheaper in China. I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to make sense of this. It's like the flight.
But what about the concept of
it's
going?
rough. You said the concept?
The concept of going to China, you said, was a good one for mayor.
I believe that we should tap into our international sister cities and start
creating a sister city. Yeah.
It's
And
like,
is that about building up investment ties?
I think investment ties, our jobs situation. I mean, I just think that it's important for us to connect education to these pipelines.
And that was a big part there too. Albertus Magnus was on the trip trying to get Chinese students and then doing some collaboration there.
Oh,
so
trying to steal
is there an
students
idea?
from University of Bridgeport.
Right. So in this political environment, is it sometimes hard to talk about thinking big because you get attacked for every cent you spend, or that, something goes wild on TV and then the internet that, oh, she was in China instead of New Haven?
I think being in the political environment just exposes folks to scrutiny. It's par for the course. There are going to be people who are supportive, and there are going to be people who are not, and there are going to be people who are on the fence.
What's interesting to me, Seth, when I'm listening to you in this discussion, you're running for mayor, so you're obviously saying that you think the current mayor is not doing the job you want, but you're not taking shots at her about everything people are mad about. Like, for instance, you had ideas about housing, but you're praising the steps LCI has taken. You didn't take a shot at her for going to China, though you're wondering about the price tag. Overall, how is Mayor Harp doing, and what is it that you want to do different?
I believe that the bulk of Mayor Harp's candidacy has been carrying the baton of the DeStefano administration and moving forward, advancing into the 21st century requires a 21st century lens. Someone who has skin in the game, so to speak. And I believe that I'm that person, someone who can connect to people at both the street level and the corporate level to ensure that New Haven is provided for. And I'm not going to take shots or run a sloppy campaign and talking about the bad things that other people have done or what they could have done better, because we're all geniuses in hindsight. I think it's important that we have foresight and we look forward to the future and we prepare for it. Because right now we know that there's a number, the fiscal situation of the city, from administrative to our board of ed, which is a very, very
I want to ask you about
large
Board of
ticket
Ed.
item.
Ernest Jones wrote in. Is he related to the L.
Think so.
Jones? Good luck.
Mhm.
Stay strong and focused, my brother. Only God can judge us. No matter what happens, hold your head up.
Exactly.
I'm around if you need anything. And you're listening to Seth Poole, who's running for mayor as an unaffiliated candidate. He's here on Dateline New Haven, WNHH 103.5 FM, live streamed at New Haven Independent.org. So let's talk about how to move forward in the future.
Mhm.
You've been involved in a lot of civic organizations over the years, Seth Poole.
Yes, I have.
And that includes youth organizations. You used to be
Yes.
the program director at the Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
You're currently the youth development specialist at Planned Parenthood. And those are just day jobs.
Yes.
You chair as a volunteer role the Citywide Youth Coalition.
Well, I've been relieved of those duties as of February of this year. And
Okay, but you've been doing that. So
my
why did
9-year tenure came
Yeah.
to a close, and it was
you were
it
chair
has-
of the whole 9 years.
well, I was chair for 6,
Mhm.
but on the board for 9.
So what have you learned being on these boards and in these day jobs dealing with youth, and how will that translate into actions you would take as mayor of the city of New Haven?
I hate to say it, but I feel like very often youth is used as another buzzword. People have prioritized adults over youth, and it's important that we even the playing field, because our young people should not be put to the side. The old adage, children are to be seen but not heard, is one of the linchpins to the erosion of our village. And they have so much to say. They have access to the information superhighway. They're not receiving the level of guidance that we could possibly give them. And people have said time and time again that we're not showing an example of responsible adulthood for them to follow.
What specific ideas do you have for policies or actions to make life better for youth in New Haven?
First and foremost, the 2 young people who are elected to the Board of Education should have a vote.
And that's a state law that has to change.
And that's a state law that has to change.
Mhm.
It's like under no other circumstances does it make sense to enact policy.
And at times
without-
they've been the grown-ups.
Yeah, exactly. Without
Boy.
involving your customer.
Mhm.
It's like, how do you, like, this is, basic economic principle says that this is a horrible way to move forward. And our young people have a wealth of knowledge. And I was just sitting with a group last night, and they're just incredible. It's like, people don't realize that their humor is like more Seinfeld level than
So one idea you have is voting members of the Board of
Yeah.
Ed. Anything else about the schools? You're a cross grad.
Yeah. So
You've
definitely a product of the school system. And
What year did you graduate?
I
Cross?
graduated from Wilbur Cross in 1994.
Okay.
So that was actually at the beginning of the DeStefano administration. One of the reasons why I aspired to become mayor of New Haven is my existence, living as the class president of the class of 1994 and having to go to Mayor DeStefano's office to ask for permission to spend money for with my class. And
Wait, tell me about that.
so basically we raised a great deal of money over the course of our 4 years.
How much?
I can't remember the number. I just remember it got to the point where we were spending money on tchotchkes and things of that nature, because we had planned to go on like a trip to Bermuda or something with the class, because we were really, really fundraising. We had Jello wrestling, pudding wrestling, and mashed potato wrestling as fundraisers. You can't do that anymore, kids. Sorry. But we made a lot of money and ended up like inviting the juniors to our prom and doing things.
So why did you have a
birthday.
meeting with the mayor?
Because the class of 1993 was very extremely problematic for the city. The basketball team went to Vegas and trashed the hotel that year, and the very same class went to Myrtle Beach and trashed the hotel as well.
Oh my gosh.
So he was, the city was dealing with litigation with regard to those 2 incidents, and
I never even knew that.
shut us all the way down.
The way they shut down, like how you could spend money.
Yeah, so we couldn't go anywhere. Essentially, there were no trips that were sanctioned by the city.
So what did you do when you met with the mayor?
We essentially made our case. Myself and Ruben Ruiz, who is currently a pilot. I believe he is with JetBlue at last I checked. We sat with the mayor and we pleaded with him to allow our class to, basically enjoy the fruits of our labor.
So what did he say?
He said no.
Ooh.
And I was like, I'll be back.
What did you end up doing with the money?
We passed some of it down to the class of 1995. We dedicated a bench, I believe, in the courtyard. We hosted the first Earth Day celebration. That was fun. Should
he have said yes?
Yeah, he definitely should have. He would have had a lot more friends.
Well, you got some friends. Dawn Dava says, hey. Class of 93 was awesome, sir. LOL.
Yeah, you were awesome, and you caused your problems.
Jolyn Walker says, hey, Seth. And Seth is Seth Poole, and he's running for mayor of New Haven as an independent, and he's here on WNHH-FM's Dateline New Haven program. So tell me about the campaign. What kind of organization you putting together? What's it going to take to win?
I think it's going to take a pretty substantial street team to win, and it's slowly but surely building momentum. I could say that I'm pleased with just the response in the last week or so.
So tomorrow night, Wednesday night, there's a forum. You're not going to be part of it at this point because Democratic primaries.
Yeah, I'm not invited. But that's okay because we're going up to the SEEC training in Hartford to learn how to properly run a clean and equitable campaign.
How many people you got so far with you?
With me, I have 3, well, including myself, my treasurer, Louis Bufumi, and our campaign manager, Miss LaToya Agnew.
Oh, okay. I remember her. Now, you were with still crazy to see my senior buddy running for mayor. You got my vote.
Hey, so who's that? Which one of them?
Ron Roach.
Oh, that's my guy right there.
All right. So Seth Poole, now you used to be part of New Haven Rising.
Yes,
which
I was
affiliated with the Unite Here unions that play a big role in local politics.
Yes, I was the original president of.
Are you still involved?
I am not as involved as I once was.
And what's the reason?
I feel like we're strayed again. Not we, but New Haven Rising has strayed away from the issues that we found out rose to the top for the citizens throughout the community.
What are some of the examples?
So the charter explicitly states that we were, housing, healthcare, jobs, youth, education, seniors, civil rights are, the centralized themes. And I think you can find that housing, we're running a housing shortage, and people are being displaced. And I don't think we are fighting on their or New Haven Rising has been fighting on their behalf to be consistent.
Why is that? I mean,
with the charter.
What is your concern? You concerned the union Unite Here agenda?
I think that the agenda has been a union agenda.
And how do you feel about that?
I believe in unions. I think people should have the right to collectively bargain so that people are receiving, equitable pay and health care and things of that nature. The problem is if you don't have a place to live, you have to leave. And whether or not somebody, they probably have people who are in the union who were displaced when Church Street South was leveled, and it's like, what is the?
So you feel they haven't been active enough in some of those original issues? How do you feel about Unite Here's role in local politics? You can be seeking their endorsement. They've endorsed the majority of the board of alders in elections. It's hard to win without them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make the pitch. I mean, I'm definitely open to making the pitch. I was instrumental in helping build this charter. I only will, because this charter basically trickled down to the aldermanic agenda years ago. So it's pretty much a duplicate. And both our alders and the New Haven Rising, organization have not stood fully behind what they stated to be their priorities.
And why do you think that is?
Obviously the Trump administration threw a bit of a monkey wrench into, folks' plans. So, the trickle down from federal to state and, how monies are allocated, cause people to, pretty much become a little bit frantic and move about, trying to stop the hemorrhaging, so to speak.
The Harp administration has agreed with Unite here that if anyone's going to build a hotel in New Haven, they have to sign a neutrality agreement and allow a union. Are you cool with that?
That is such an ideal situation. I would hope that whoever the hotel interests are that come to New Haven will believe enough in the community to do so, because that's very important.
So you will send the same message Mayor Harp does, that they should have a union?
I could not get away from that, because it's necessary. A livable wage is that's hard work, working in a hotel in particular. I mean, I've actually through my work with New Haven Rising, done hunger strikes in Philadelphia with Unite Here for folks who are in the food industry in the schools, and a couple of my colleagues, including my Miss Agnew.
And I just want to let people know that they're listening to WNHH FM 103.5, broadcast from New Haven, Connecticut, which is your home for community radio. We have a few minutes left with Seth Poole, who's running for mayor. I want to catch up with some comments. Anthony Bernard Ellison Jr. says, encourage the 18 to 30-year-olds to vote. They stay home too often for these elections that affect them directly here in New Haven. James Mack just says, my man. He's got that razor.
Yes, that's one of my former students right there, and a public servant in his own right.
Melissa Noluthondo says, much love and support to you, Seth. Congrats on putting your experience and education to good use. Trinity College alums secretly run the world, which I didn't know.
It is, I didn't know either until I started to do my homework about how Trinity alums move in the shadows, so to speak.
And Damon Gibbs says, Seth L. Poole knows New Haven.
That's my colleague.
Has a heart for the people. Seth, I want to make sure before you go, we hit anything we might have mixed. You used to be the chair. Well, you've done a lot of civic stuff. You chaired an AIDS task force. You also were the chair of WEB, Whaley Edgewood Beaver Hills management team.
That was my launching point into, I guess you would say, politics.
So what is your feeling on the cops? Can we afford to have as many cops as we used to? Do we need to have working cops? Do we?
I don't think we need that many cops. I think we need good cops. I think we have good cops. It's just when things go bad, that's when the spotlight and the camera start rolling. And I think they need to be. This is one very, very stringent point I like to make about police officers. I don't believe that people should be wielding guns and carrying badges in any community in the United States of America unless they are over the age of 25, Paul.
And what's the reason? Because the development of the male brain?
Yeah, from the human
and
brain.
by the way, I'm not joking. I know this is
seriously.
totally illegal, but I think that no males should be allowed to drive until they're 25 because of the development of the brain. I think that's what causes all the carnage. But you're saying
everybody's brain is growing like that, though. So it's like 25. And the only industry that has this correct in the United States is the car rental industry, Paul. It's like you can do everything except for rent a car.
So why cops 25?
Because it's a huge responsibility, for one, and it has put people like me in harm's way in the possibility.
When did that happen to you?
Every point before the age 30.
What happened?
Several things happened. I mean,
tell me one.
You literally have to. One story, I had an incident. I was 13 years old, and I'm sitting on my porch on Sherman and Scranton, and a police officer walks up and says, "Get off the porch."
Your porch?
My own porch. My grandfather owns the home, and I say to him,
"You live there?"
Yeah, and I live there, and I say to him, "No." Quite simply, no. And he's like, don't make me. I'm like, I can't. I'm not bothering you, so I'm not doing anything. I didn't curse at him or anything at that point. But it erupted a bit, and my brother intervened because he heard he was on the second floor, and he actually heard me speaking to this cop and getting louder. And he comes down, "Officer, you didn't mean it." I'm like, "Yes, I did mean it." It's like, this is Granddad's house. Our family lives here. Nothing's going on right now. This guy's basically on a power trip, and his jurisdiction stops at the sidewalk. Like, beyond that.
So how'd the incident play out?
My brother. He's always been
Older
very
brother.
protective. Yes, he's 3 years my senior. He pretty much said, "Come in the house. Choose your battles wisely," and I believe I have for 43 years.
How old was the cop?
I figured he was 26 like the rest of them. I don't know.
So you'd still let him be a cop then if he's over 25?
No, it's the best thing about it is, yeah, I mean, during that time, that was 1989, Paul. And
that was a tough time, beat down posse.
Yes, it was a rough time to, be a young black man in New Haven. And it was, but we knew, it's like if there were cameras back then, half of that police force would have been in jail.
So what do you take from that besides picking your battles? What did you learn about policing?
I've learned a great deal over, I've actually had my education at Trinity College was great because we received a visit from a police reform advocate named DeLacy Davis out of Jersey.
Former cop.
He was, brilliant in his assessment, just giving us a, open forum conversation. I was a few minutes late to showing up, and when I walked in, he pointed at me and said, "The cops are looking for that guy." And I was like, "What did I do?" He says, "Look at you. What do you have to do beyond look like that in order for them to come for you?" I mean, I had locks, I was pretty strong back then, and it was like what he said afterward, with regard to how young people of color should be trained to interact with the police. And he gave some sage advice. He was like, keep your cool, listen to the, prompts. Don't, try your best not to, make any sudden movements. Cause, all cops want, this was the point that he made at the end of his speech. All cops want the same thing you want. They want to go home at night. And if we all understand that, it's easier to interact with the police.
All right. Pat Kane, who does a lot of policing issues as an activist in town, writes in, why has Poole waited so long to announce and to organize?
Basically, I have a family, and it's very important that my family be in the know and supportive of any career aspirations I may have. And with a young child who ultimately, as a product of the New Haven public school system, my 3-year-old did not receive a spot in the lottery and will not be attending a New Haven public school for preschool. And that was a tipping point for me, and my family as well, because people do not have the financial wherewithal.
So where's she going to preschool?
She's going to Wintergreen. No, Highville, not Wintergreen. Highville Academy. And we're very pleased because had we not, we'd have to tighten our belts and find a way.
You're finding a way to run for mayor, and thanks for coming. I have a last question for you. You like martial arts movies, Seth Poole?
Yes, I do.
Any movie you're drawing inspiration from for this campaign?
The 5 Deadly Venoms has always been my go-to. And we're going to put a team together and we're going to tackle these 5 issues in the community. And
5 issues?
Yes.
Housing?
5 issues. Definitely. Well, I'd say housing and streets, cleaner and safer. Definitely the equitable governance. I mean, because we definitely need to utilize and distribute our resources with more responsibility, fiscal responsibility. Good schools for all.
So that's 3. What are the other 2?
Restructuring our system of police, and utilizing local talents to solve the issues in the city. I mean, we boast ourselves to be one of America's best small cities, and I think we can utilize the talents from within to reach our goals.
Well, Seth Poole, we have a lot more to talk about.
Yes, we do.
So I'm hoping you're going to come back to Dateline New Haven.
I will gladly. I will gladly.
Well, thank you so much for joining today. Thanks, everyone, for your great comments and questions. Thanks to Brian Slattery, the host of our local music program that's going to be starting a little late today, but it'll be right back here in 5 minutes. Northern Exposure, great show.
Thank you, Brian Slattery.
Thanks for giving us a few extra minutes here because of my incompetence in scheduling programming. Sojourn South, great job, Mayor Seth Poole.
Thank you, sister.
Lloyd Dorsey, 5 deadly venoms. Respect to my brother from another mother. You definitely have my vote. Peace and Rodney Capital Herd,
cheers,
my
cheers.
guy. All right, we're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience, performing I Wish I Knew How It'd Feel to Be Free.
I'm ready.
From the group CD, A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night long here at WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.